The 1965 United States quarter dollar, commonly known as the 1965 Washington quarter, occupies a pivotal place in American numismatic and economic history. It marks a crucial turning point in U.S. coinage because it was the first quarter struck without any silver content, signaling the end of an era that had lasted since the nation's early years. Prior to 1965, U.S. quarters were composed of 90% silver and 10% copper, a standard that had been in place since the 18th century. However, by the early 1960s, rising silver prices and a nationwide coin shortage led the U.S. government and the Treasury Department to make a historic change. As the value of silver began to approach the face value of coins, people started hoarding silver coins, including dimes, quarters, and half dollars, both as an investment and as a hedge against inflation. This hoarding caused an acute shortage of circulating coinage throughout the country, forcing the government to consider alternative materials to keep commerce moving smoothly. Consequently, in 1965, the United States Mint, under the Coinage Act of 1965 signed by President Lyndon B. Johnson on July 23, replaced the traditional silver alloy with a new clad composition, a copper-nickel blend bonded to a pure copper core. This modern metal structure, which is still used in U.S. quarters today, gave the coins a distinctively different look and sound compared to their silver predecessors. The obverse front of the 1965 quarter retains the familiar and iconic design created by sculptor John Flanagan, first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. It features a left-facing bust of President George Washington, symbolizing dignity, strength, and patriotism. Above Washington's head appears the word liberty, a fundamental American ideal, while the national motto, "In God We Trust," is inscribed to the left of Washington's neck. The year of issue, 1965, is prominently placed beneath his bust. The design reflects the classical style of early 20th century American sculpture, characterized by clean lines, balanced proportions, and a solemn, respectful portrayal of the nation's first president. The simplicity of the design, combined with its historical symbolism, ensured that it became one of the most enduring images on American currency. Despite various updates and refinements over the decades, Flanagan's original portrait of Washington remains a cornerstone of U.S. coinage identity. The reverse, back, side of the 1965 quarter also continued Flanagan's 1932 design, featuring a majestic bald eagle with outstretched wings, perched on a bundle of arrows, representing readiness and defense, with two olive branches positioned beneath, symbolizing peace. The inscriptions United States of America and E pluribus unum, Latin for out of many one, appear above the eagle, while the denomination quarter dollar appears below. This imagery elegantly balanced the nation's values of strength and peace, emphasizing that America stands ready to defend liberty while aspiring toward harmony among its people and with other nations. Together, the obverse and reverse designs of the Washington quarter formed a unifying aesthetic statement that reflected both the personal virtue of George Washington and the moral ideals of the republic he helped to found. In terms of physical characteristics, the 1965 quarter has a diameter of 24.3 millimeters, a thickness of 1.75 millimeters, and a weight of 5.67 grams. Its composition consists of 91.67% copper and 8.33% nickel, a copper-nickel clad that sandwiches a pure copper core between two nickel layers. This alloy not only proved economical but also durable and corrosion-resistant, making it ideal for mass circulation. Its distinctive silvery color, although lacking real silver, was close enough in appearance to the earlier silver coins to maintain public confidence and acceptance. The edges of the coin feature 119 reeded, grooved lines, a tradition carried over from earlier coinage to prevent counterfeiting and discourage clipping, the practice of shaving small amounts of metal from the edges of coins when they contained precious metals. Interestingly, all 1965 quarters were produced without mint marks, even those struck at the Denver and San Francisco mints. This was a deliberate policy adopted by the Mint in 1965 to discourage coin hoarding and speculation by collectors who had been pulling coins out of circulation based on mint mark rarity. As a result, Every 1965 quarter appears with only the date, 1965, giving no clue as to where it was minted. The total mintage was enormous, approximately 1.8 billion pieces, as the government worked urgently to restock circulation and end the coin shortage. The massive production run, combined with the lack of silver content and mint mark, makes most 1965 quarters common and of low numismatic value in circulated condition. However, the date remains historically next top. The 1967 United States quarter dollar, also known simply as the 1967 Washington quarter, is a fascinating coin in the long history of American coinage. It belongs to the famous Washington quarter series, which began in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, the first president of the United States. The 1967 quarter was minted during a transitional period in U.S. coinage history, right after the government's removal of silver from circulating coins due to rising silver prices and a severe coin shortage that affected the mid-1960s economy. Prior to 1965, quarters were made of 90% silver and 10% copper, but starting in 1965, the U.S. Mint changed their composition to a copper-nickel-clad planchet, a sandwich of a pure copper core between two layers of cupronickel, 75% copper, 25% nickel. The 1967 quarter therefore belongs to the first generation of non-silver quarters, making it a significant milestone in American numismatic history. The obverse front of the 1967 quarter features the classic left-facing portrait of George Washington, originally designed by John Flanagan, a sculptor and engraver chosen by the U.S. Treasury in 1931. Washington's bust is based on a 1786 bust created by the French sculptor Jean-Antoine Houdon, widely regarded as one of the most accurate likenesses of Washington. Above Washington's head, the word liberty is boldly inscribed, emphasizing one of the core ideals upon which the United States was founded. Just below Washington's chin, the national motto, "In God We Trust," appears, a phrase that first became standard on U.S. coins during the Civil War era, symbolizing faith and national unity. Beneath Washington's portrait, you'll find the date, 1967, marking the year of issue. Notably, the 1967 quarter does not have a mint mark, which is unusual in U.S. coinage. This omission was intentional. Between 1965 and 1967, the U.S. Mint suspended the use of mint marks on all coins to discourage coin hoarding by collectors who were saving coins with rare mint marks during the nationwide coin shortage. The reverse, back, of the 1967 quarter retains Flanagan original design, which features a majestic heraldic eagle with outstretched wings perched on a bundle of arrows, symbolizing strength and readiness to defend the nation. Beneath the arrows are two olive branches, representing peace. Arched along the top is the inscription, United States of America, and just below that, the national motto, E pluribus unum, Latin for out of many one, highlighting the unity of the states forming one nation. At the bottom rim of the coin, the denomination quarter dollar is clearly engraved, signifying its face value of 25 cents. In terms of physical characteristics, the 1967 quarter weighs 5.67 grams, compared to 6.25 grams for the earlier silver quarters, and has a diameter of 24.3 millimeters with a reeded edge, a series of small grooves along the rim that historically served to prevent the shaving or clipping of precious metal from the coin's edges. The clad copper-nickel composition gives the coin a silvery appearance, but it lacks the heavier, richer tone and ring of silver coins. The historical context of the 1967 quarter is especially interesting. In the early 1960s, the U.S. faced a nationwide coin shortage as the demand for small change skyrocketed with economic expansion, vending machines, and the growth of suburban commerce. Many people hoarded coins made of silver, anticipating that the rising value of silver would eventually exceed the face value of the coins themselves. In response, the Coinage Act of 1965 eliminated silver from dimes and quarters and reduced it in half dollars. To ease the shortage, the U.S. Mint also ceased using mint marks from 1965 through 1967 to discourage people from saving coins based on perceived rarity. As a result, all 1967 quarters look identical, whether they were struck in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, and none bear a P, D, or S mint mark. Another fascinating aspect of the 1967 quarter is that it was struck without proof sets during that year. In place of traditional proof and mint sets, the mint issued special mint sets, SMS, for collectors. These sets included coins that were produced with a slightly higher quality finish than circulation strikes, though not to the mirror-like perfection of true proofs. The 1967 SMS quarters are notable for their sharper details, smoother surfaces, and lack of heavy contact marks. Numismatists often identify these coins by their satin-like luster and well-defined features. SMS coins were packaged and sold to collectors directly by the U.S. Mint, with a total mintage of about 1.8 million sets. Meanwhile, hundreds of millions of 1967 quarters were struck for everyday circulation. The total mintage of 1,967 quarters exceeded 1.5 billion coins, making it one of the highest production years for the denomination up to that point. This high mintage means that next top. The 1969 United States quarter dollar, commonly known as the 1969 Washington quarter, holds a distinctive place in American numismatic history as part of the long-running Washington quarter series, which began in 1932 and continues in various forms to this day. Though on the surface the 1969 quarter appears like any other modern quarter, its context, design, and minting history reflect a rich tapestry of economic policy, design tradition, and national symbolism that mirrors the story of America itself during a transformative period in the 20th century. The 1969 quarter was struck during a time of major social and economic change in the United States, amidst the Vietnam War, the Apollo space missions, and the ongoing cultural shifts of the 1960s, and yet, it preserved the timeless imagery of George Washington, the founding father whose leadership established the Republic nearly 2 centuries earlier. The Washington Quarter series was originally conceived in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The Treasury Department, under the direction of Secretary Andrew W. Mellon, authorized the creation of a new quarter design to replace the standing Liberty quarter that had been minted from 1916 to 1930. After a public design competition, the work of John Flanagan, an American sculptor, was chosen. Flanagan's portrait of Washington was based on the famous 1786 bust sculpted by Jean-Antoine Houdon, which had been widely praised as the most accurate representation of Washington's likeness. That design, showing Washington in profile, facing left, has remained the cornerstone of the quarter's appearance ever since, even as minting technology, materials, and inscriptions have evolved over the decades. On the obverse of the 1969 quarter, the portrait of George Washington is the central feature, dominating the design. The word liberty arches across the top, boldly proclaiming one of the nation's founding ideals. Directly below Washington's chin is the phrase, "In God We Trust," a national motto that first appeared on U.S. coins during the Civil War and became mandatory on all coins after 1955. This inscription reflects the moral and spiritual heritage of the United States, expressing faith in divine guidance during times of both triumph and trial. Beneath Washington's profile, the date, 1969, is clearly struck, identifying the year of issue. To the right of the date, in most cases, appears a mint mark, a small letter identifying where the coin was struck. The 1969 quarter was minted in Philadelphia, no mint mark, Denver, D, and San Francisco, S, though the San Francisco Mint produced only proof coins for collectors that year, not circulation strikes. The reverse of the coin continues Flanagan's original design introduced in 1932. It features a powerful heraldic eagle with outstretched wings, symbolizing strength, vigilance, and freedom. The eagle perches on a bundle of arrows, representing America's readiness to defend itself and its values. Below the arrows, 2 olive branches cross beneath the eagle, symbolizing peace and the desire for harmony among nations. Above the eagle, the words United States of America form a semicircle along the rim, and directly beneath that is the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one. This ancient phrase underscores the unity of the many states that together form the United States. At the bottom of the coin, The denomination quarter dollar is prominently displayed. The physical composition of the 1969 quarter reflects a major shift in American coinage policy that had taken place just a few years earlier. Until 1964, all U.S. quarters were made of 90% silver and 10% copper, giving them intrinsic value tied to the metal content. However, as silver prices began to rise during the early 1960s, the value of the metal in the coins approached or exceeded their face value, leading to widespread hoarding and a national coin shortage. To resolve the crisis, Congress passed the Coinage Act of 1965, which eliminated silver from quarters and dimes, replacing it with a durable copper-nickel-clad composition consisting of an inner core of pure copper sandwiched between outer layers of cupronickel, 75% copper, 25% nickel. This clad construction produced a silvery-looking coin that was durable for circulation but carried no significant intrinsic metal value. The 1969 quarter followed this new standard, weighing 5.67 grams, with a diameter of 24.3 millimeters and a reeded edge. Its composition gave it a bright, hard metallic sheen, but it lacked the distinct sound and luster of the older silver quarters, which collectors could easily distinguish by sight and sound. In terms of minting statistics, the 1969 Washington quarter was produced in large numbers to meet national demand for circulating coinage. The Philadelphia Mint struck approximately 176 million quarters, while the Denver Mint produced about 114 million. Additionally, the next top. The 1974 United States quarter dollar is part of the Washington Quarter series, one of the most recognizable and enduring coins in American numismatic history. This coin carries immense historical, cultural, and monetary significance, representing not just 25 cents of U.S. currency, but also a small piece of the nation's heritage. The Washington Quarter series began in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by sculptor John Flanagan, the coin was intended to replace the standing Liberty quarter and has remained in circulation, with only a few design updates, for nearly a century. The 1974 issue sits in a transitional era of American coinage, between the removal of silver from most U.S. coins in the 1960s and the bicentennial redesign that arrived in 1975 to 1976. On the obverse front side of the 1974 quarter, you'll find a left-facing portrait of George Washington, the first president of the United States. Above Washington's head is the word Liberty, symbolizing the nation's founding principles. Below his chin, near the lower rim, is the inscription "In God We Trust," the official national motto of the United States since 1956, reflecting the nation's spiritual and moral heritage. At the bottom center of the obverse appears the date, 1974. The placement and style of these inscriptions follow the original design by John Flanagan, which itself was based on a 1786 bust of Washington sculpted by French artist Jean-Antoine Houdon. The 1974 quarters also feature a mint mark, a small letter indicating the U.S. Mint facility, where the coin was produced. Philadelphia minted coins bear no mint mark. Denver issues display a D, and San Francisco proof coins carry an S. The reverse back of the 1974 quarter features the majestic image of an American bald eagle, wings spread proudly with arrows in its talons, symbolizing strength and readiness for defense, and an olive branch below representing peace. Above the eagle's head are the words, "United States of America," and directly beneath them, the national motto, "E pluribus unum," which means out of many one. At the bottom is the denomination inscription, quarter dollar. This powerful combination of imagery and text reflects the balance between liberty and unity that defines American identity. By 1974, the Washington quarter had already undergone one of its most significant material transformations. Originally struck in 90% silver and 10% copper from 1932 to 1964, the quarter's composition changed due to rising silver prices and the cost of coin production. Beginning in 1965, quarters were made from a clad composition, a core of pure copper sandwiched between two outer layers of copper-nickel alloy, 75% copper, 25% nickel. The resulting coin weighs 5.67 grams and measures 24.3 millimeters in diameter. This change made the coins more durable and affordable for mass production, though collectors lamented the end of the silver era. The 1974 quarter, therefore, is a non-silver issue. Its metallic content is purely clad, yet it retains the same dimensions and basic design of earlier silver versions. The year 1974 is particularly interesting to collectors because it sits just before a major design change in 1975 to 1976, when the bicentennial quarters were introduced featuring the special dual date 1776 to 1976 and a colonial drummer design on the reverse. Thus, 1974 was the final regular issue Washington quarter before the bicentennial coins, making it a transitional piece between eras. Although not rare, its place in history gives it a sense of closure to the classic Washington quarter design before America celebrated 200 years of independence. In terms of mintages, the 1974 quarter was produced in large numbers. Over 801 million pieces were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark, around 353 million at the Denver Mint, D, and approximately 2.6 million proof coins at the San Francisco Mint, S. Because of these high production figures, most 1974 quarters remain common in circulation and hold only face value unless they are in uncirculated or proof condition. However, pristine mint state examples graded MS65 or higher, or deep cameo proofs can fetch higher prices among collectors, often ranging from a few dollars to over $50, depending on quality, luster, and strike sharpness. A handful of mint errors and varieties from 1974 make certain coins more desirable. Examples include off-center strikes, double die obverse, clipped planchets, and broad strikes, mistakes that occur during the minting process. These error coins can be worth anywhere from tens to hundreds of dollars, depending on their rarity and visual appeal. One particularly fascinating and rare phenomenon involves 1974 quarters struck on silver planchets, a leftover blank from 1964, or a special test strike accidentally used. These coins have the same design but weigh slightly more, 6.25 grams, and exhibit a distinctive silver sheen. Such errors, next top. The 1994 United States quarter dollar, part of the long-running Washington quarter series, stands as a familiar yet historically rich coin that reflects both America's artistic heritage and its evolving minting technology. First introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, the Washington quarter replaced the standing Liberty design and has remained a mainstay of American coinage ever since. The 1994 issue, struck at the Denver Mint, indicated by the D mint mark beneath the eagle on the reverse or, for post, 1998 quarters, beside Washington's ponytail, continues the pre-50 state quarters design that had been in circulation for over 6 decades. The obverse front of the coin features a finely detailed bust of George Washington, designed by sculptor John Flanagan, based on a bust created by Jean-Antoine Houdon in the 18th century. The inscription's Liberty arcs across the top of the coin, symbolizing the enduring value of freedom, while the national motto, "In God We Trust," is placed to the left of Washington's profile, a phrase that has been part of U.S. coinage since the 19th century and became a defining emblem of American faith and unity during the Cold War era. The date, 1994, appears below Washington's neckline, denoting the year of issue. The reverse back design, which remained unchanged from 1932 to 1998, displays a majestic bald eagle with its wings outstretched, perched on a bundle of arrows symbolizing strength and readiness, while 2 olive branches beneath it represent the pursuit of peace, a dual message of vigilance and diplomacy. Around the eagle are the inscriptions, United States of America and E pluribus unum, Latin for out of many one, capturing the ideal of unity among diversity that defines the nation. The denomination quarter dollar appears boldly at the bottom, affirming its face value of 25 cents. The 1994 Washington quarter was struck in large numbers for general circulation, with the Denver Mint producing over 880 million pieces, making it a common issue in most respects. Like other clad quarters of the modern era, it is composed of copper-nickel, 75% copper and 25% nickel, layered over a pure copper core, giving the coin its distinctive silver-gray appearance and a total weight of 5.67 grams with a diameter of 24.3 millimeters. Its reeded edge, a series of fine grooves, not only enhances tactile recognition but historically served to deter clipping, a form of fraud in which precious metal was shaved off coins. Although primarily a circulation coin, some proof versions of the 1994 quarter were produced at the San Francisco Mint's mint mark, specifically for collectors, featuring mirror-like fields and frosted reliefs achieved through specialized minting techniques. In terms of historical context, the year 1994 was the final period of the traditional Washington quarter before the U.S. Mint prepared for the landmark 50-state quarters program, which would begin in 1999. This makes the 1994 D issue one of the last of the classic eagle reverse designs, marking the end of an era in American numismatics. While most 1994 D quarters are valued at their face value in circulated condition, collectors often seek out coins with full strike details, minimal wear, and strong luster, particularly those graded MS 65 or higher by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC. High-grade, uncirculated examples can command modest premiums, typically ranging from a few dollars to over $20 depending on quality and toning. Special varieties, such as die cracks, double dies, or off-center strikes, occasionally appear among 1994 D quarters and are of particular interest to error coin enthusiasts. These minting anomalies occur when the dies or planchets, coin blanks, are misaligned or flawed, creating distinctive visual differences that make certain specimens unique. Furthermore, full "In God We Trust" and "Liberty" inscriptions, along with a sharp eagle feather pattern on the reverse, are indicators of a strong strike and desirable coin quality. Symbolically, the Washington quarter continues to serve as a miniature tribute to the nation's founding principles. The repeated presence of mottos like "In God We Trust" and "E Pluribus Unum" on the 1994 D quarter reflects both spiritual conviction and civic unity, ideals deeply rooted in American identity. The enduring popularity of the Washington quarter also underscores its success as both a functional and artistic object. Its imagery, unchanged for over 65 years, offered Americans a constant reminder of the country's first president and the enduring stability of the republic he helped establish. In modern times, collectors and historians alike regard the 1994 D Washington quarter as a transitional piece, an emblem of continuity before the innovation of the state quarters era transformed everyday coinage into a series of miniature works of art. While it remains one of the most common coin